Have you ever looked back at a relationship and wondered, why did I waste so much time on her? Maybe you thought she was the one. Maybe you gave her your heart, your attention, your energy. But in the end, you were left drained, questioning yourself, and realizing she wasn't adding value to your life, she was taking it away. Gentlemen, today we're diving into 10 signs of a low-value woman that every man must know. These are not just red flags, they're flashing warning signals. If you ignore them, you risk your peace, your success, and even your future. Before we jump in, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like button if you value your growth as a man. And listen carefully, because if you watch this video till the very end, you'll have the clarity to spot these signs instantly. And that clarity could completely change your love life. Now let's build a context. See, love can blind us when emotions get involved, when attraction takes over. We often overlook the little details that reveal someone's true character. But relationships are not just about love, they're about value. A high-value man needs a high-value woman by his side. And if you settle for less, you'll end up paying the price in regret. So let's break this down. 10 powerful signs of a low-value woman. Sign number 1, she's always playing the victim. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever dated someone who always seemed to have a sad story? Someone who could turn even the brightest moment into a tale of how the world was against her? Maybe you remember those late-night calls where she'd say, "You don't understand what I've been through. Everyone has hurt me. Every guy I've dated was a monster. Every friend betrayed me. My family doesn't care about me." And in the beginning, you felt sympathy. You thought, wow, she just needs love. She just needs someone to finally treat her right. Maybe I can be that person. Be honest, didn't you? Didn't you think your love could heal her? But here's where the story twists. Slowly, you started to notice a pattern. Every failed relationship in her past, somehow it was always the other person's fault. Every problem at work, it was her boss, her co-workers, or bad luck. Every argument with you, somehow you became the villain. And the more you tried to save her, the more drained you felt. Because playing the victim isn't about healing, it's about control. Think about it. When someone always paints themselves as the victim, they avoid responsibility. If nothing is ever their fault, they never have to change. And if they never change, they stay exactly where they are, stuck in the same cycle, dragging you into it with them. Now let me ask you, did you ever feel like you were carrying the weight of two people? Like you were trying to fix not just your problems, but hers too? Did you start feeling guilty for things that weren't even your fault? That's exactly how a low-value woman traps you. By keeping the victim card in her pocket, she makes you the rescuer. And if you're not careful, you'll spend years trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Let me share something real with you. Love is not about rescue. Love is about growth. A high-value woman doesn't need you to carry her. She walks with you, side by side. She takes responsibility for her mistakes, just as she expects you to take responsibility for yours. But the victim mindset, it's a black hole. No matter how much love, time, and energy you pour in, it's never enough. She'll always need more, and you'll always feel like you're failing. So here's my question for you. Do you really want to spend your life apologizing for things you never did? Do you really want to build your future with someone who refuses to take ownership of their past? Gentlemen, remember this, the victim act is not a cry for love, it's a warning sign. And the longer you ignore it, the harder it will be to walk away. Sign number 2, she disrespects you in public. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in love with someone who made you feel like a king in private? But the moment you stepped into a room full of people, it was like you became invisible, or worse, the punchline of her jokes? Think back to that moment at a dinner with friends. You were telling a story, maybe about work, maybe about a little victory you had, and right in the middle of your sentence, she cut you off. Not to add to your story, not to support you, but to correct you, to mock you, or even to say, "Oh, don't listen to him, he always exaggerates." Everyone laughed. But did you? No, you smiled to hide the sting, but inside it hurt. It wasn't just embarrassment, it was betrayal. And maybe later, when you brought it up, she brushed it off. "Relax, I was just joking. Don't be so sensitive." But here's the truth. Brother, a joke at your expense isn't harmless when it chips away at your dignity. Respect isn't about grand gestures. It's about those small moments, especially in public. Let me tell you why this matters. When a woman disrespects you in front of others, she's revealing 2 things. 1, how little she values you. 2, how much she values attention. Because a high-value woman protects her man's image, even when she's upset with him. If she disagrees, she'll talk to you in private. But a low-value woman, she takes her shot in front of an audience, because making you look small makes her feel big. And here's where the danger lies. The more she does it, the more others start to believe it. Your friends, your family, your co-workers, they start seeing you the way she portrays you. And over time, you start believing it too. Let me ask you this, did you ever go home from an event, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying those little digs she made? Thinking, why would she say that about me? Why would she embarrass me like that in front of people I care about? That's not love. That's not a partnership. That's humiliation disguised as humor. And don't fool yourself into thinking, she'll stop if I explain it enough times. No, my friend. Respect isn't taught, it's given freely. And if she doesn't give it to you naturally, she never will. A high-value woman builds you up in public even when she's angry with you. She knows that protecting your respect is protecting her own. But a low-value woman, she chips away at your foundation until you start questioning your worth. So remember this, public disrespect is private betrayal. And if she laughs at your expense, the relationship is already costing you more than it's worth. Sign number 3, she's addicted to drama. Tell me honestly, have you ever been in one of those relationships where every week felt like a new episode of a soap opera? You know what I'm talking about. One day everything seems fine. You're laughing, you're enjoying each other's company, and you're thinking, maybe things are finally stable. And then, boom, out of nowhere, an argument. Maybe it started small. She didn't like the way you texted her okay instead of okay baby. Or she got upset that you didn't notice her new hairstyle fast enough. Suddenly you're in the middle of a storm you never saw coming. And here's the worst part. You start to feel like you're walking on eggshells. You never know what tiny thing will set her off next. One moment she's smiling and holding your hand. And the next, she's accusing you, crying, or even threatening to leave. Sound familiar? That's because a low-value woman who's addicted to drama isn't happy unless something's wrong. She craves chaos because peace feels boring to her. She confuses passion with conflict, attention with love, and arguments with connection. But here's the reality. Drama doesn't build love, it destroys it. Think about the nights you stayed awake replaying the fight in your head. Think about how drained you felt the next morning, going to work with a heavy heart because you were too busy wondering what mood she'd be in when you got home. That's not romance, that's emotional warfare. And here's something you need to hear. Drama is addictive. Just like a drug, it gives temporary highs and crushing lows. And before you know it, you're hooked too. You start to believe that all relationships are supposed to feel like this. That love is supposed to hurt. That passion always comes with pain. But let me ask you a question. Do you remember your first love? Do you remember those early days when just holding her hand made your heart race? That wasn't drama. That was pure connection. Real love doesn't drain you, it nourishes you. Real love doesn't feel like a battlefield, it feels like home. So if you're with a woman who thrives on drama, understand this, she will never give you peace, no matter how much you try to calm her storms. In fact, the more you try to bring peace, the more she'll stir chaos, because that's where she feels alive. A high-value woman brings stability. She makes your life easier, calmer, and more fulfilling. She's your safe place in a world full of noise. But a low-value woman addicted to drama, she'll make you question your sanity, your self-worth, and your future. Ask yourself, do you want a partner? Or do you want to play the leading role in her never-ending drama series? Because you can't build a lifetime on chaos. Sign number 4, she's self-centered. Let me ask you a question from the heart. Have you ever been in a relationship where you gave everything and felt like you got almost nothing in return? Think back to the times you stayed up late just to make sure she was okay. The times you skipped out on plans with your friends because she needed you. The times you saved money to buy her gifts or plan surprises. And yet, when it was your turn to need her, when you were tired, when you had a bad day, when you just needed a little support, suddenly she was too busy, too tired, or simply uninterested. That's the reality of being with a self-centered woman. She wants the spotlight, but she never wants to share it. And here's how it usually begins. At first, you think it's normal. You think, well, maybe she's just having a tough week. Maybe she'll give back when things calm down. But weeks turn into months, and months turn into years. Before you know it, you've built a relationship that's completely one-sided. Do you remember the first time you noticed it? Maybe it was on your birthday, when you thought she'd do something special for you. Instead, she made the day about herself, her mood, her needs, her complaints. Or maybe it was after a long, exhausting day when you hoped for comfort. But instead, she started listing all the ways you hadn't done enough for her. A self-centered woman doesn't ask, "How can I make your life better?" She asks, "And what more can you do for me?" And here's the dangerous part. If you stay long enough, you'll start to believe that this is love. That love means sacrificing yourself over and over without expecting anything back. That love means becoming invisible while the other person shines. But that's not love, that's servitude. Real love is about reciprocity. It's about two people pouring into each other. When one person is low, the other lifts them up. When one person struggles, the other steps in. Love is teamwork. Let me ask you, how many times have you felt unappreciated? How many times have you given and given only to feel emptier inside? How many times have you laid in bed wondering, does she even notice how much I do for her? If those thoughts have crossed your mind more than once, then you already know the answer. You're not loved, you're used. A high-value woman won't let you carry the relationship alone. She'll show up for you even in small ways, like asking about your day, cooking you a meal when you're tired, or simply holding your hand when you're stressed. But a self-centered, low-value woman, she'll keep taking until you have nothing left to give. Gentlemen, love shouldn't feel like an endless sacrifice. If she can't give as much as she takes, she's not your partner, she's your burden. Sign number 5, she has no vision for her life. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever been with someone who was just drifting, no plan, no goals, no direction, just living from one day to the next, waiting for life to happen instead of building it? At first, you might not even notice it. Maybe she's beautiful, fun to be around, always down for a good time, and in the beginning that feels exciting. But slowly, you start to realize something. When the laughter fades and the parties end, there's nothing deeper to her. She has no vision for her future. Think about it. Did you ever ask her what her dreams were? What she wanted to achieve? Where she saw herself in 5 years? And instead of giving you an answer that inspired you, she shrugged and said something like, "I don't know. I'll figure it out. I just want to enjoy life." Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with enjoying life. But here's the problem. A woman with no vision for herself will never be able to support yours. And sooner or later, you'll feel the weight of it. Imagine you're working hard, chasing your goals, trying to build a future. But every time you talk about your plans, your struggles, your dreams, she doesn't really care. Or worse, she dismisses it. Why are you stressing so much? Just relax. Stop working so hard, let's just chill. And in those moments, you realize something painful. She doesn't want to grow with you. She just wants to exist beside you. Depending on your drive, your ambition, your vision while bringing nothing of her own. Let me take you deeper. Do you remember your first love? That girl who believed in you before anyone else did? Remember how she encouraged you when you doubted yourself? That feeling, that's what a high-value woman gives. She doesn't just share your bed, she shares your vision. She becomes your teammate in building something bigger than both of you. But a low-value woman with no direction, she doesn't inspire you, she drains you. You'll find yourself carrying not just your own weight, but hers too. And over time, resentment creeps in. You'll start to feel like you're dragging someone along who doesn't even want to walk. And here's the harsh truth. Beauty fades, fun fades, but character and purpose, that lasts. If she has no vision for her life now, what do you think will happen 10 years from now? When responsibility grows, when life demands more, will she step up? Or will she still be waiting for you to carry everything? Gentlemen, listen carefully. If a woman has no vision for her own life, she cannot help you build yours. Don't mistake temporary excitement for long-term value. A high-value woman doesn't need you to give her direction. She has her own. And when two visions align, that's when you build a future worth fighting for. Sign number 6, she constantly tests your boundaries. Let me ask you something straight from the heart. Have you ever told a woman clearly what bothers you, what crosses the line, what you simply won't tolerate, and yet she did it anyway? Think about it. Maybe you told her, "Don't raise your voice at me like that. I don't argue in that way." But the very next fight, she's yelling, cursing, and pushing you to the edge. Or maybe you said, "Don't flirt with other guys. That disrespects me." And yet she keeps entertaining harmless attention, excusing it as, "Oh, it's nothing." You're overreacting. That's what it feels like when you're with a low-value woman. She constantly tests your boundaries, not because she doesn't hear you, but because she doesn't respect you. Now let's pause for a moment. Do you remember your first serious relationship? Remember how you didn't even know much about boundaries back then? You just assumed that love was enough? And when she crossed a line, you stayed quiet thinking, it's fine, she'll change. I don't want to lose her. But over time, what happened? Each time you let something slide, the disrespect grew. She pushed a little further, and suddenly, you realized you had built a relationship where your voice didn't matter. That's the dangerous part of ignoring boundary tests. Once you fail to enforce them, she knows she can get away with anything. Gentlemen, boundaries are not walls. They're not about control. They're about self-respect. And when you tell a woman what your boundaries are, you're not asking for favors. You're setting the terms of respect in the relationship. A high-value woman will honor that. She might not always agree, but she'll acknowledge your standards because she values who you are. But a low-value woman, she'll push and push until you break because in her eyes, your boundaries are not rules, they're challenges. And here's what makes it worse. Sometimes, she'll do it just to see how much you'll tolerate. She wants to know if your words have weight or if you're just another man who says one thing but does another. Let me ask you this. How many times have you forgiven something you swore you'd never tolerate? How many times have you thought it was just once? It won't happen again, only for it to keep happening. Every time you ignore a broken boundary, you lose a piece of your self-respect. And slowly you start to believe that maybe you don't deserve better, but you do. A relationship without respect is not a relationship, it's manipulation. And if she's constantly testing your boundaries, it's because she doesn't see you as a man who stands firm. Gentlemen, love is not proven by how much you can endure. It's proven by how much you respect yourself. If she can't honor your boundaries, she doesn't deserve your heart. Sign number 7, she lives for validation. Let me ask you a personal question. Have you ever been with a woman who seemed more in love with her reflection than with you? The kind of woman who constantly needs others to tell her she's beautiful, wanted, and desirable? Think about it. Maybe she takes 50 selfies before you even start dinner. Maybe she posts half of them online, then spends the rest of the night refreshing her phone. Not to talk to you, but to check how many likes, comments, and messages she's getting. And here's the painful truth. In moments like that, you feel invisible. Because no matter what you say, no matter how much you reassure her, it's never enough. She craves validation from the world, not from the man right in front of her. Now let's rewind to a memory. Do you remember your first girlfriend who made you feel like you were competing with every guy on her social media? One minute, she's posting selfies with captions like, feeling cute? Might delete later, and the next, you see random guys flooding her comments. And instead of shutting it down, she enjoys it. She feeds off it. You start questioning yourself. Am I not enough? Why does she need all this attention if she's with me? And that's where the poison begins, when you start feeling like you have to compete for her focus, even though you're supposed to be her priority. Gentlemen, here's the hard truth. When a woman lives for validation, her happiness doesn't come from within. It comes from the opinions of strangers. And do you know what that means for you? It means no matter what you do, she'll always need more. More compliments, more attention, more reassurance. It's a bottomless pit. A high-value woman, she doesn't need the world to validate her. She already knows her worth. She might enjoy a compliment, but she doesn't crave it. She doesn't live on it. She values the man who stands beside her more than the strangers on a screen. But a low-value woman who lives for validation, she'll never stop searching. And the moment she feels you're not giving her enough, she'll look elsewhere. Maybe not physically at first, but emotionally. She'll soak up attention from coworkers, friends, or even complete strangers, just to fill that void. Let me ask you, do you really want to spend your life with someone who's never satisfied? Someone who looks past you just to see who else is watching? Because here's the reality. Love should feel secure, not like a competition. And if her self-worth is tied to how many likes she gets or how many men compliment her, she will never truly value you. Gentlemen, remember this. When a woman lives for validation, it's not love she's after, it's attention. And those are two very different things. Sign number 8, she drains your energy. Have you ever noticed how some people leave you feeling lighter, happier, and more alive after spending time with them, while others leave you feeling heavy, exhausted, and almost empty? Now think about your own love life. Have you ever been with a woman who drains you? Not physically, but emotionally? A woman who, no matter what you do, seems to suck the life out of you little by little. Let me paint a picture. Imagine you've had a long day at work. You come home and all you want is a little peace. Maybe a warm meal, maybe a smile, maybe just a hug. But instead she starts complaining. About her friends. About her job. About how you don't do enough. Suddenly the weight of her negativity becomes yours. Instead of feeling rested, you feel exhausted. Instead of recharging, you feel like your energy is being siphoned away. And here's the scary part. It becomes a cycle. Day after day, moment after moment, you start losing yourself because she's draining you. Now let's dig deeper. Do you remember that one girl in your past who always seemed to have a problem? No matter what solution you gave, she dismissed it. No matter how much comfort you offered, it wasn't enough. And the worst part? She didn't just drain your energy, she drained your joy. The things that used to make you happy suddenly felt dull, because all your focus was on managing her moods. Gentlemen, love is supposed to be a source of strength, not weakness. A relationship should feel like a partnership where both people pour into each other. But when you're with a woman who drains your energy, you're not in a partnership, you're in servitude. You're giving, and she's taking. And the more she takes, the less of you is left. Think of it like this. Energy is like money in a bank account. A high-value woman deposits energy into your life. Her smile, her support, her encouragement. She makes you feel richer just by being there. But a low-value woman, she's always withdrawing. Complaints, demands, criticisms. It's like she's overdrawing your account until you're bankrupt emotionally. Here's a question for you. Do you really want to spend your life feeling drained? Imagine carrying that weight for years. Imagine waking up every day already tired. Not because of life, but because of the woman beside you. A good woman will recharge you. A bad one will drain you. And when you feel more tired being with her than you do when you're alone, that's the clearest sign she's not adding value. She's subtracting it. Remember this, love should build you up, not break you down. If being with her feels like a constant battle for your own peace, then she's not the one for you. Sign number 9. She creates drama everywhere she goes. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been with a woman who turns even the smallest things into the biggest problems? A simple dinner turns into an argument. A casual outing with friends somehow ends in tears, shouting, or silent treatment. Gentlemen, if you've lived through that, you already know how draining it is. Think back to a time when you felt embarrassed because of her behavior. Maybe you were at a friend's gathering, everyone laughing, having a good time. Then out of nowhere, boom, she explodes because you didn't give her enough attention, or because someone else complimented you, or because she didn't like what another woman was wearing. Suddenly, the room that was full of joy is now filled with awkward silence. Everyone's staring, and you're left standing there, wishing the ground would just open up and swallow you whole. Now let's get personal. Remember the first time you realized she loved chaos more than peace? Maybe she'd pick fights just to see how much you cared. Maybe she'd accuse you of things you never did, just to make you prove your loyalty. At first, you might have thought it was passion, that this intensity meant she really cared. But over time, you began to notice the truth. It wasn't passion, it was drama, and it was endless. Here's the thing about women who thrive on drama. They're addicted to the highs and lows. They don't know how to live in peace because peace feels boring to them. And so they create storms where none exist. They push buttons, they test boundaries, they provoke arguments because chaos gives them the attention and control they crave. But here's the painful reality for you. When you're with a woman like that, your life stops being calm. You start living on edge, never knowing what will set her off next. You start holding your breath around her, worried that one wrong word, one wrong glance, one wrong silence will trigger the next explosion. And slowly, without even realizing it, you lose your peace of mind. Gentlemen, a relationship with a woman who creates constant drama is like living in a house built on quicksand. No matter how hard you try to stabilize it, it's always sinking. You can never relax, never feel secure, never just be. And here's the truth, a high-value woman doesn't thrive on chaos, she thrives on harmony. She knows how to solve problems without screaming matches. She knows how to express feelings without theatrics. She values peace over drama. So ask yourself, do you want to build a life filled with constant storms? Or do you want a woman who brings calm, balance, and stability into your world? Because here's the thing, drama might feel exciting at first, but over time, it will drain you, break you, and leave you questioning your own sanity. And no man deserves to live in constant chaos. Sign number 10, she never appreciates your efforts. Let me ask you, Have you ever poured your heart into someone, only to feel like it didn't matter at all? You try, you give, you sacrifice, but it's never enough. That's what it feels like to be with a woman who never appreciates your efforts. Think back to a time when you planned something special. Maybe it was her birthday you saved up, bought her that gift you knew she wanted, maybe even planned a dinner at her favorite restaurant. You thought she'd light up with joy, that her smile would make all the work worth it. But instead, she barely acknowledged it. Maybe she complained about the gift, or maybe she compared it to what someone else did for their girlfriend. And in that moment, all the energy you poured in felt wasted. Now imagine living like that every single day. You work long hours to provide, but she says it's not enough. You surprise her with small gestures, but she brushes them off. You show her love in your way, but she only points out what you didn't do. Slowly, you stop feeling like a man in her eyes. You start feeling invisible. Do you remember that one woman from your past who never said thank you? Who acted like everything you did was just expected? At first, you told yourself it didn't matter, that you were doing it out of love. But over time, the silence grew louder than any words. Because deep down, every man wants his efforts to be valued. Every man wants to feel that the little things he does matter. Here's the truth. Appreciation is the fuel of love. It's what keeps a man motivated to keep giving, to keep showing up, to keep fighting for the relationship. But when a woman takes and takes without ever appreciating, she kills that motivation. And when a man feels unappreciated for too long, he stops trying. Not because he doesn't love her anymore, but because he feels empty. A high-value woman, she notices the little things. She doesn't need diamonds or luxury, trips to feel loved. She feels loved when she sees effort. A note, a gesture, even your presence after a long day. She says thank you, not because she has to, but because she truly values you. But a low-value woman who never appreciates your efforts, she will drain you until you have nothing left to give. And even then, she'll ask for more. So let me ask you, brother, do you really want to spend your life with someone who makes you feel unseen? Or do you want a woman who makes you feel like a king, not because of what you give her, but because of who you are? Because at the end of the day, love without appreciation is not love at all. It's entitlement. And every man deserves better than that. Gentlemen, we've walked through the 10 signs of a low-value woman, from playing the victim, to disrespect, to drama, to lack of appreciation. And maybe as you listened, you found yourself nodding, remembering moments in your own love life. Maybe you saw patterns from a past relationship, or maybe you realized you're facing them right now. Here's the truth. Love is supposed to lift you up, not tear you down. The right woman will add peace, joy, and stability to your life. The wrong woman will drain you, confuse you, and make you question your own worth. But here's something important. Recognizing these signs isn't about judging women. It's about protecting yourself. It's about knowing your value as a man, and refusing to settle for anything less than a relationship that grows you, supports you, and inspires you. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly appreciated, truly respected? When did you last feel that your efforts weren't just noticed but celebrated? If those moments feel rare, then maybe it's time to step back and ask yourself if you're giving your love to someone who doesn't deserve it. Life is too short to waste on constant drama, disrespect, or being taken for granted. You deserve a love that feels like peace, not war. You deserve a woman who brings out your strength, not your weakness. So my challenge to you is this. Don't just hear these signs, act on them. If you see them, don't ignore them. Don't convince yourself that things will magically change. Protect your peace, guard your heart, and hold your standards high. Because the truth is, the right woman won't make you beg for love, she'll give it freely. Because she values you. And remember, gentlemen, your life, your time, and your heart are priceless. Don't spend them on someone who can't see your worth. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.